Welcome back to Class 2 Keyword Research of the SEO Bootcamp brought to you by Moz. In this module, we're going to be talking about how to scale list development. So you can see that we've started out by talking about search visibility and its importance in keyword analysis, organizing keyword research, and how to analyze specific keywords. And now what we want to do is we want to scale the list development process. I showed you can do this manually, but let's talk about how you can scale this list creation process. So let's go ahead and dive into this subject. Broad overview of this process for connecting the keywords and sort of your strategy development into what you track in the campaigns. You identify broad topic areas. You then develop large list of variants, 400 to 500 different keyword variants for a given topic area. Isolate those best variants using the filtering tools as possible. And then mapping best variants to your target pages and making sure that you bring a lot of those variants over into your campaign so you can label them and track them as a group and kind of see where your pages are ranking across that whole topic area. For each one of these boxes, we talked about a couple of different steps. For example, identify broad topic areas. What was that? Well, we created this matrix together where we say there's these different sections of the sales funnel, and we're looking at different topics, and we're populating with these different words. And the words inside there would be what we might call like seed words or seed keywords. We then go and generate lists off of them for each of these different cells, right? So we create those lists in Keyword Explorer, adding lists as we go, try to get 400 or 500 keywords in a list, and then we can do our filtering to try to identify those that have the best attributes. But here's the thing, is that this section of the process map can take a really long time. And by long, I mean maybe a couple hours, right? So if I have a cell within that matrix and I'm trying to do research and trying to really scour the earth for different variants, it can take a while. Or if we decide to do that as a group and kind of sit together and you come up with words and I come up with words, we could sit there all day doing that. So this could take, a while to a couple hours to, depending upon how it's working in your organization and the scope of what you're going after, quite a while. So let's talk about ways that we can dramatically improve the amount of time that it takes to complete this task. What I want to do is I want to get a large number of words into my lists so I can filter them down and try to find really good content or really good opportunities. So I use this analogy, right? So imagine that the keyword list tool or something comparable to that is kind of like this device that this little miner has, right? So here's this miner sitting by a creek. Miner's pouring water through this little sluice machine. And the more water, conceptually, that the miner pours through here, the more dirt, I guess, that they pour through here, the higher likelihood this miner has of finding gold, right? Think of this little device as being like the Keyword Explorer list tool. The higher volume of keywords for a given topic that we can put into that list tool, the higher likelihood we're going to find ones that have really exceptional difficulty scores, volume scores, and click-through rate opportunities, right? So what we want to do is ideally not just be this person sitting here by the side of the creek pushing, one ladleful through our list at a time, but really what we want to do is we want to increase the volume, in this analogy, of dirt through our little sluicing machine so we can have a higher likelihood of finding gold. The more dirt, or in this case, keywords we can put into our list, the higher likelihood we're going to find really good stuff within that. You may be the only person that ever looks as far and wide for keyword variants on a given topic. So how do we do that, right? We don't want to do this. We don't want to sit by the creek and just do, keyword by keyword and take our time. We want to turn into this beast. We want to move mountains. We want to move a lot of keywords into our list at one time and then try to isolate those with filtering. So let me give you 2 ways to do this, and maybe more a conceptual framework of what to look for to help scale up this process. If you've not used Answer the Public, this is a really great tool, free tools that can help you identify a bunch of keyword variants. So it can take things that are normally a couple hours worth of work and turn it into a couple of seconds worth of work. Let's look at an example of this. Here's the answerthepublic.com interface. I really love the UI they have. This guy it's a video that plays and he kind of scowls at you. It's just kind of really funny. But nonetheless, what we have here is you can select your language and then you can put in a topic, okay? And then it says get questions, right? So we're at answerthepublic.com and get questions. So when I click on that, it gives me this interface. And so what do we have here? We have this topic, iOS 11, that I've now looked at a bunch of different variants of, right? So when types of questions, why types of questions, will types of questions, can type of questions, right? And they're all around this spoke. If I zoom in here, you can see some examples of these different questions. And if I click on one of them, it'll actually take me to the search engine result page for it, which is kind of neat because you can go over there and actually see what the search engine result page looks like for it. But that's not really the thing that I want to point out for the most part. But I do love Answer the Public for that purpose. Here's what I love. Download CSV. Now, here's the thing about the download CSV is that what you can't really see in the screenshots that I have associated with this training is that if I were to scroll down this page, it would just keep going and going and going. And they have questions and they have a bunch of comparison types of things, and you get all that within your CSV. So we download the CSV, our Excel file basically, and this is what this looks like. Column A, questions. Column B, what type of question, and column C are all of these different question format words. And down below, there'd be comparables. And in fact, I think this export had somewhere in the neighborhood of 700 different keywords. So I could just copy column C, go to my Keyword Explorer list, create a new list, and then you can see this example here. So I'm creating a new list. I could upload a CSV if I wanted to, or I could just enter keywords and display a little text field, and I could just drop, copy paste column C and drop it in there. And what that does is, in this case, I grabbed 653 cells in column C, tossed it into the iOS 11 using the Answer the Public thing, and boom. Just like that. It took me, literally just a couple of seconds. So in this case, 650 keywords in less than 30 seconds. And now imagine I go into that list, click on the filtering, click on the drop downs and the sorting, and now I could find among 650 keywords. Now, what you'd probably say is you'd get those results and say, there was some stuff in there about that just didn't seem relevant. And it just doesn't seem relevant to my business. Some of those questions, I could go through there and probably parse those out. And that's the kind of thing you want to stay away from. Just let the tool isolate what are the best ones based upon the criteria that you put in. And then you just get rid of everything else. So you could say, hey, I have 650 keywords. Let me put those into my list and then isolate the best variants, copy those, make sure you save those someplace or save those within the list, and get rid of everything else. The whole point is just getting a lot of words in there and being somewhat indiscriminate when you're doing it to get to that point. So good example there. Here's another one. Okay, Google Trends. Google Trends, very useful tool in SEO especially where if you don't have baseline data or try to identify seasonality for a particular client or for a particular business. Google Trends is really great. So what does it look like? Here again, I'll use this iOS 11 release date, iOS 11 beta release, iOS 11 public beta. You can kind of compare different search terms and see this interest over time scale. And you might look for things like, hey, iOS 11 release date is trending upward versus the other ones that are kind of trending down. So maybe, that means something to me. Maybe that's better for me to target. The main thing though is there's something on this page that I kind of want you to think about, and we can scroll down. I'll show you it again, right? But let's pretend that we scroll down this page. It shows me things by geography. Okay, that's interesting. Related queries. Okay, that's interesting. But check this out right here. Whenever you see open access to things that are queries or keywords, whether or not it's an Answer the Public or Google Trends or others, these are huge opportunities where you could export these results and take them and put them over into your keyword list. So let's see what happens here, right? This is like a major high five for us to be able to find these. Whenever we see these things, well done. Export that, and here's what we have. We have iOS 11 beta release date, iOS 11 beta, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We have all these words. I can just copy and paste this column, throw it over into my list, sort and filter, and see whether I can find things that are maybe opportunities that other people aren't focusing on. So main point is when you scale this list development process, Whenever you're in a tool, paid or not, and you can find places where there are queries or keywords or words related to a particular topic that have the opportunity to export them to CSV in some kind of column, you can directly take that CSV and put it over into one of your lists.